in the middle of the night, I have almost like a nightmare. I wake up and I had forgotten to nail shut the crate. So I go there and it was raining. I must have woke up the whole neighborhood, you know. It was not closing the box, it was nailing the coffin. I am nailing the coffin, I see it as that. Why this expression, why this thought? Well, maybe death is now looking through the golden frame of this dream, and now reality is going to maybe choke me to death.
Does it make any sense to conduct surveillance when somebody knows about it?
So now I am Tuesday, the 6th of August.
Donc c'était tendu, mais on était excités, on avait hâte que ça commence surtout. Tout était prêt.
The Secret Service did maintain surveillance. They did so for security reasons, and I will not go beyond that. I have never obstructed justice, and I think too that I could say that in my years of public life that I welcome this kind of examination, because people have got to know whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
Everybody was getting more and more nervous, and finally we're all ready and said, okay, let's go. So we jump in the truck. We're not going to die, we're going to live.
Je me souviens du silence extrêmement tendu qu'il y avait dans la camionnette. Alan était absolument sombre, Philippe extrêmement tendu, moi j'étais glacée, très inquiète.
Donc j'étais déguisé en déménageur avec casque, chemise, pour faire américain, donc beaucoup de stylos dans la poche, il paraît que c'est un détail typiquement américain.
I was going to be on the crew in the South Tower. We were going to go at closing time with a big hamper with all the gear in it. And there were going to be some guys in the North Tower dressed for business with much less gear, an architect's tube, and I believe that was holding the bow.
There's electricity in the air between Jean-Louis and Albert. I can read it in Jean-Louis' face. He doesn't trust Albert.
I had a bad feeling there's something wrong with this guy. He's not at all on the same track that we are.
Fear was in the air. I assumed that even in the best possible situation that we were all going to be arrested. There was no doubt of that. I can't imagine how they didn't feel the same way.
I felt that the horizontality of driving through the streets of Manhattan suddenly became slant. I was on the ramp. I was being engulfed by the monster.
Et Philippe me dit, je sais ce qui va se passer. On va rentrer, on va se faire prendre.
It was suddenly not a dream anymore. It was tangible.
Il ne pourrait pas continuer à vivre sans avoir essayé au moins de posséder ces tours-là, parce que ces tours étaient devenues à lui. C'était comme si elles avaient été construites pour lui d'ailleurs.
Once upon a time. Now that's how you start fairy tales. And actually my story is a fairy tale. Here I am, young, 17 years old, with a bad tooth in one of those uncolorful waiting room of a French dentist, and it's really lit with a little 40-watt bulb, and you have old ladies and people, you know, sheepishly looking at magazines. It's quiet, and suddenly I freeze. Because I have opened a newspaper at a page and I see something magnificent, something that inspires me. I see 2 towers. And the article says one day those towers will be built. They're not even there yet. And when they are, they will become the highest in the world. Now I need to have that, this little tangible start of my dream. But everybody is watching, but I need that page. And so what I do is, under the cover of sneeze, I tear the page, put it under my jacket, and go out. Now, of course, I would have a toothache for a week. But what's the pain in comparison that now I have acquired my dream? Usually when you have a dream, the object of your dream is tangible, it's there, it's quixotic, but it's there, nagging you, you know, confronting you. But the object of my dream doesn't exist yet.
J'avais 20 ans et j'étais une jeune fille très timide, très timide.
On voit qu'il est tordu minablement.
C'est l'endroit où tu poses ta...
J'étais extrêmement surprise par ce personnage et encore plus surprise quand, à peine il m'a rencontrée, à peine il a pris le temps de me connaître, qu'il m'a fait une cour acharnée, m'apportant des bouquets de fleurs, me donnant des rendez-vous, m'envoyant des petits billets doux. J'étais complètement surprise, je me sentais totalement envahie, harponnée, c'était vraiment ça. Et il a commencé à me présenter son fil, un fil installé au fond d'un jardin. Et je passais des heures à le regarder marcher. Il n'avait pas encore beaucoup d'expérience, il était vraiment au début de sa vie de funambule. On est devenus vraiment inséparables. Et dans sa vie, j'ai complètement oublié la mienne d'ailleurs, et lui ne se préoccupait pas non plus de savoir si j'avais un chemin à suivre. C'était évident qu'il fallait que je suive le sien.
Annie, who knows me better than everybody. Annie, who was at my side during my discovery of the wire, whose large green eyes move me. When we embrace, we look like two kids plotting our next piece of mischief. I started as a young, self-taught war walker to dream of not so much conquering the universe, but as a poet, conquering beautiful stages.
One day he said, I really would like to put a wire on Notre Dame. And first day I thought it was a joke, but in the meantime I knew that there was something a little bit real about it. And then we started to talk more and more about it. And then we started to plan it. It took about a year to find the right way to do it.
Jean-Louis m'avait immédiatement dit que c'était illégal, oui. Donc je savais que c'était illégal et c'est ce qui évidemment m'excitait un petit peu. Mais illégal, mais pas vilain, pas laid, quoi. C'était magnifique en fait.
Can you imagine you wake up in the morning in the city and all of a sudden you see a highway walker between Notre Dame? It's a dream. That's what really attracts me. It's the challenge part of doing something that's supposed to be impossible, and in the meantime doing something that's so beautiful that not only doesn't hurt anybody, but gives something to somebody.
Et puis, Philippe est apparu sur le fil. C'était extraordinaire. Et je rentre toute excitée et je me trouve là et je me penche sur la nef et je vois qu'une immense cérémonie avait lieu dans Notre-Dame. Et il y avait là une dizaine de prêtres habillés tout en blanc, les bras en croix. Ils étaient couchés sur le sol, la tête contre le sol. J'étais sidérée, silencieuse et bon. Et l'organisme me dit, mais qu'est-ce qui se passe? Qu'est-ce que vous faites? Et je lui dis, mais il y a un funambule là-haut, il y a un funambule dans les tours. Oh, et ce monsieur me regarde d'un air charmant, tout émerveillé. Il me dit, ah bon, un funambule? Oh, mais c'est extraordinaire.
La camionnette est descendue, on a passé un premier guichet avec des gardes. Là, on a présenté les papiers de l'entreprise de déménagement avec des factures, enfin des fausses factures. Tout était vraiment très très bien au point.
And now we were horizontal again, but we were driving in the subterranean garage of the two towers, and we were going, I knew the plan, we were going to the freight elevator of the South Tower. The whole plan was in the making.
The basic plan was very simple. We had ID cards, so it was just a matter of just kind of pushing our way through. Once we'd gotten in the buildings, it was pretty smooth sailing.
À ce moment-là, il a fallu se quitter. Il y avait dans ses yeux une telle folie, une telle rage. C'était vraiment, de toute façon, j'y vais, quoi qu'il arrive, c'est le moment. Et il m'a serré dans ses bras comme si peut-être on n'allait plus jamais se revoir.
If I die, what a beautiful death. To die in the exercise of your passion.
broke into the Sydney Harbour Bridge pylon one night and carried all this equipment in, put a tight rope up, disappeared in the morning, and then sat down on the street and watched Philippe walk backwards and forwards.
The fact that the wire walking activity is framed by death, it's great, because then you have to take it very seriously. It's a little half a millimeter of mistake or a quarter of a second of inattention and you lose your life.
This is the Sydney Harbour Bridge and the traffic was backed up. The police came, of course, within minutes. When he was taken away, I mean, the first thing he did was he picked the policeman's watch. Philippe manages to take the guy's watch off his wrist and hide it in his pocket.
These twin towers are trotting in my head. Elles trottent dans ma tête, you know, and galloping in my brain. As I'm back to Paris, slap in the face. Paris Match, double page. The twin towers are built. But right now, the picture tells me that those beams are not still covered, the things are not painted. I see workers, I imagine, maybe for a few more months or a year, who knows. It's in construction and I can sneak in.
Un jour, il m'a montré une photo de deux buildings sur une page de journal. Et là, j'étais un peu effrayée. C'était inhumain de vouloir aller marcher là-haut à 450 mètres de hauteur. Ça devenait un peu démoniaque. Alors là, j'avais envie de dire stop.
The plan was for me to bring all my equipment to the 82nd floor, which was Barry's hiding place. There was one in each tower, the same floor, and to put all the equipment there, using the freight elevator, saying delivery for 82nd floor. And Barry will be there to receive, okay.
At the time, I was an assistant director of research at the New York State Insurance Department. We had just moved in and I was on what was then the highest occupied floor in 2 World Trade Center. I knew there was going to be a team in each tower and that the stuff was going to be delivered to me and then it was going to be carried up, would have been 28 floors.
The operator of the freight elevator had not completely heard the foreman shouting 82nd floor, and it was clearly on our delivery bill and on all the package. He asked to the group, what floor again? Right there. I think this is it. And I said clearly 104. So, okay, whatever, watch your hands, and clang, the gate clanged shut. Now we are in a plywood box, a temporary freight elevator, going all the way up. And it's dark, it's a travel toward heaven. And the darkness becomes gray, and I see a square of gray that becomes lighter. I see a square of light. It is the sky. We're getting there, and we're arriving just a few floors below the roof with all our equipment.
Annie came to my office and told me that they had, by a great stroke of fortune, gotten on the freight elevator and saved himself 20 floors of carrying up all that equipment.
Now I find myself in a deserted floor 104, and the first thing we do is unpack and take equipment out. Suddenly, I hear a guard coming. I just look and I see over there a tarp. So I just grab Jean-François and I throw him underneath. And I hear Jean-François yell.
Et cette poutre, c'était la cage à sorcière qui faisait quand même 400 mètres de profondeur.
What? We're going under it. Yeah, we had to hide under a tarp.
Donald starts saying, well, hold on my leg, hold this, where can I go?
And I kind of like, right on the spur of the moment said, you know, man, I can't do this. And he's like, okay, go ahead.
Go quick. And I think who was the more happy? Was it Donald or I? But anyway, bye-bye, Donald.
Unbridled glee. I'm so happy to not have to do this. I'm running down the stairs, 110 flights. It's like those dreams where you never touch down. It was so beautiful.
So here we are under the top, frozen to death. I don't have to murmur to Jean-François, don't move. He feels it in our body connection. And now the guard comes. Has he seen us? Has he heard us? Has he seen the tarp move? But the guard comes and leans against the structure, and he seems to be a foot away. And I hear the cracking of his walkie-talkie, and I hear he takes a cigarette, and the sound grows up now of the lighter and of this first puff, the burning of the extremity of the cigarette, and he seems to be almost leaning on my ear. So we are, frozen, we don't breathe.
We had for 6:30. So we start to climb. We saw nobody in the stairway, there is nobody underneath the roof. It seems pretty safe. All of a sudden, we hear somebody coming from the stairway. So we were scared like hell. So we run to the hiding place, and we jump in the hiding place. We hear some steps. We hear the walkie-talkie noise. The noise were very confusing. Sometimes you don't hear the guy for 10 minutes. So you think he's gone. All of a sudden you hear him coughing, or you hear a talkie-walkie noise, like he's right next to the hiding place, so we could not talk. We started to write little notes.
We kept saying, do you think now? Yeah, let's wait or longer. It was uncomfortable, but once you understand that you don't have a choice, you try to settle in and just wait.
At that point, we are in suits, in business suits. Being in a business suit with heavy equipment, hiding behind a pile of boxes, there is no explanation. If we are caught at that time, that was it.
What if the guard is still around? What if he's toying with us, waiting for us to make the slightest movement before he pounces on us? We must wait. To ease the torment, I return to my memories, the gold and mud, years of dreaming, months of organizing. I dive back into the past for a long while.
that it will indeed serve the purposes intended, and that it will truly promote not only harmony between the states, but harmony and communication between the nations of the world.
It was in January of 1974. I climbed on the roof of my little house and I screamed, "I'm coming to America!" And the minute I got out of the subway, climbing the steps, looking at them, I knew that they were no dream. I knew that my dream was destroyed instantly. Impossible, impossible, impossible. It's clearly impossible, not only to walk across this, I probably hardly thought of it, but to bring almost like a ton of equipment secretly, to rig a wire for hours, to guideline it. It's clearly out of human scale. But something in me pulls me toward touching it.
That's when he spoke to me about his project. He said, "Well, I want to string a wire between the two World Trade Center towers." I said, "Okay, sounds wild." I mean, I'd never met a high wire walker before, so I had no idea nor did I even entertain the idea at the time of what the consequences of anything happening would be. It just sounded like a really fun adventure to get involved in. So I took it upon myself to say, "Sure, let's work on it." It was the first occasion we went up in the elevator. We basically took the elevator to the 86th floor. When we got off, there was a guard there. He said, "What are you doing here?" So obviously we couldn't continue. So we took the elevator back down again, and then we realized, well, he actually said, "Well, let's just walk up." And we proceeded to climb up the 110 flights to the top.
We are at the top of the world. I see two slabs of concrete, barely inhabited with some construction, no fence, no net, no nothing, and I am frozen to death. I see the other tower and I imagine the void, and if I were to run on this slab, I will just fall to another life. And slowly I thought, okay, now it's impossible, that's sure. So let's start working.
We took pictures of all these things, thinking that perhaps that might be where the cable would be tied, or this maybe would be a cable we could use. He wasn't sure how he was going to rig it at that particular time.
I decided in the staircase to draw a little fresco, as if I needed some tangible proof to show me that I was going through different steps and approaching the impossible of actually finding myself on that wire. I even rent a helicopter at some point, and Jim Moore was with me taking pictures of the roof, of the equipment there, for making a model, for measuring. But I also wanted a little bit to see if it was possible.
He wanted to get higher than where he was going to be when he walked on the wire. It was a way of tricking his mind into not feeling fear by being higher than where he was going to be when he actually did the walk.
One day I received a postcard with the World Trade Center. I never heard about the WTC at that time. And he had drawn a little wire on top of the towers. I thought, of course, that's why these towers are there. I mean, for Philippe.
So now I go back to France. The minute I arrive, I didn't even go home. I run to Jean-Louis, my old friend, and I said, I have a new idea.
This, we knew that legally we could not do it. I mean, nobody knew Philippe Petit, nobody knew us. You go there and you ask, can I put a wire on top of the World Trade Center? They said, get out.
Non, il m'a dit ça comme ça dans la conversation.
So I tried to get some information from Philippe. So, okay, you have been there, you told me you have been 10 times on the top, but what did you get as, what do we have as information? But I have pictures, look, and we can put the wire, I don't know where to put it, but we'll find out with the pictures.
Ça le mieux. Sans le casque, sans le casque. This is the best.
Tout à l'heure, c'était un moulin flicard. C'était mieux.
Voilà ce que tu feras quand tu seras en prison, aux travaux forcés, qu'on te fera faire des lavages de vitres dans les grandes tours.
I started to do a little recap in my head, and I found out we had nothing.
He's not driven by the impetuous feeling of dancing between the towers. He's driven by, I'm going to help Philippe, I don't want to help him to kill himself, and I don't want to be caught there, and we want to succeed, we don't want to fail. So for plenty of reasons that are actually noble and understandable, he becomes almost we're fighting a lot on you don't have enough elements, Philippe, to build up a serious plan. So now I go back, and it's the second visit to America. Now I spend my time spying on the Twin Towers with all my might. I go day and night, I note things, and I fill the exercise books with all those notes and little doodling, and I look at what commercial vehicle go underneath for freight delivery. I go in, I find a way at lunchtime to disguise myself.
And out here the workers seem to arrive in normal cars, meaning
So at some point I am so much into taking notes as a spy around the towers, I don't see, it's a construction site, I don't see one nail sticking out of one plank. So right there, the big nail goes through my soul. 3 days in bed. So here I am with crutches, thinking I am incapacitated. No, it's the opposite. It's wonderful. A human being with crutches, the universe is his. The guards, help me, can I help you? Let me hold the door. People, sit down, take your time. Nobody asks me for an ID, nobody says, what are you doing here? It's fabulous. So then now, even though my feet is about to be repaired, I use the crutches a lot. Okay, and sometimes you would see the man leaving his crutches and running around to measure something and coming back and being with crutches.
One time we went up there, it was very, very windy, and I actually wasn't sure why we were going up there.
I barely had the courage to get out of my little trap door. And Jim, hanging on, I don't know how, managed to take a picture of me hanging on to a post at the very roof of the tower with my body almost horizontally. The wind was blowing me away. So what if?
It was very scary. That was maybe one of the first times I realized how crazy it was up there with that kind of condition and the height and what we were involved in. What happens if I'm up there and I rig it and something happens? I just started thinking about those things when it got closer to the actual event. I basically said, no, I can't help you rig. I can't be part of the team that goes to the top.
Here we are, underneath the top of the World Trade Center, under a tarp. Each time we would hear a noise, it was very hard to tell if it was a cardboard board flapping in the wind, or a guard coming, or a walkie-talkie. I drill a little hole with a paper clip, and I enlarge this hole in the canvas with the conic end of a ballpoint pen. And then with one eye, I was able to see a little bit of the ambient light going onto the figure of my watch. What time is it? Is it dark outside? Oh, I heard noise. Let's try to go out of the tarp.
J'avais son pied dans le nez, lui il avait mon pied j'ai pas entre les bras, enfin on était complètement enchevêtrés. Là, on s'est bien connus, on peut le dire. Comme rarement j'ai connu un homme.
We kept hearing more and more noise from the roof, like voice, like machines, sometimes far away, sometimes very close, but really like somebody was walking on the roof. We said, gee, if they're walking at night, well, we are stuck. I mean, there's no chance the coup will happen.
The longer we waited and the longer we hid, the less time we'd have to do what we had to do to get up there. There was tension. I thought that we were both out of our element, that neither of us really should have been there.
There's something that I don't trust in this guy. He's not deeply concerned by the thing. Why is he here?
When I finished university, I flew to Paris, and I caught up with Philippe. And he showed me this sort of extraordinary sort of diagram and this photograph of this building that was being constructed in New York.
This is a big one now. In the one, big one.
You know, I looked at this huge tower, or towers, and Philippe was just so enthusiastic about doing this. So I became, I guess, one of the first members of the team.
Voilà. Petit branche dans le petit. Voilà, on l'a fait. Merde! Il est bien. Ah la vache! Ah la vache!
I intend on a giant meadow, it's a giant field, to reproduce not the two roof of the World Trade Center, I don't have the money for that, but just, you know, the outline and practice.
Il voulait mettre un fil exactement de la longueur, de la distance entre les deux tours et s'entraîner le plus possible là-bas.
1, 2, 3. Even if I miss, doesn't matter.
We had I guess it was a little bit of a boot camp or a training camp. Essentially, we spent time there conceiving, designing, trying to work out how to make this thing work from every aspect.
Quelqu'un lui a parlé de l'élasticité de la structure et du fait que les tours pouvaient bouger sous l'effet des turbulences, sous l'effet du vent. Alors il y a eu un moment de grosse inquiétude.
So I asked my friends to make the cable dance. And here is Mark the Australian, here's Jean-Louis, Annie.
And we would jump up and down on these wires. We'd try and bounce Philippe off of the wire.
Non,
Pas sur ton fil. Qu'est-ce que tu fais?
M'asseoir. Voilà.
Tu te laisses venir.
Ah non, c'est pas du tout pareil, Jean-Louis. Moi, j'étais au bord ici, et là, il faut...
The World Trade Center was extraordinary because it was 200 feet between the towers. So how do you get a tightrope from one tower to the other?
Look what you will see.
You like that?
We have to find a way to throw something. Then you can pull a little string, and then a bigger string, and then a rope, and then eventually the wire.
At some point, I mean, I thought even of a little airplane, radio-guided.
Football and baseball, yeah, we have to learn how to play baseball for 2 months before we can do that. No.
And at some point, Jean, we come up with a really silly idea. I don't even let him finish his sentence. He says, Philippe, what about a bow and arrow?
Yeah. Huh? Okay.
We drilled a very small hole in the end of an arrow. We attached a monofilament or a fishing line wire to the arrow. And the whole idea would be that Jean-Louis would, send the arrow from one building to another. And then, of course, whenever we tried it, it just didn't work.
Wait a minute.
contexte.
It's pretty useless. Proper one will make a proper one.
It's no point. Faire une machine que...
In the end, we designed a spool that had a conical shape on it so that the monofilament would unravel and go very freely through the air.
Ça, il y a déjà vachement
C'est génial.
C'est bon, regarde.
Hey, juste, right, exactly. Ouais, ça sera mieux que rien, ça.
As a child, I loved to climb everywhere. I let the psychiatrist decide why. Maybe I wanted to escape my time. Maybe I wanted to see the world from a different perspective. And I was an explorer at heart. Who knows and who cares? But I was a little climber. And nobody, not my parents, not the teachers, nobody could stop me. I heard about wire walkers. I was described how they are magnificent men and women walking in thin air. And I thought, well, that's nothing. With my ropes, I do that.
C'est vachement beau, je vois si j'arrive à le contrôler. Ça donnerait quelque chose dans ce goût-là. Enfin, il y a uniquement quelques pas qui vont être bons.
Il y a toujours eu, et il y a toujours chez Philippe, un côté mauvais garçon. Philippe a reçu une éducation très stricte. Donc, bien sûr, il n'ira jamais très très loin dans l'illégal, mais c'est pour lui un plaisir, un immense plaisir de se permettre comme ça certaines libertés. Il est tellement excessif, tellement créatif, que chaque journée est un petit peu une œuvre pour lui. Pour lui, c'était le côté excitant de cette aventure, c'était d'abord, avant d'être un très beau spectacle, c'était une attaque de banque et ça lui plaisait beaucoup.
Oh non. Because it's not... Jean-Louis, viens, monte sur moi, vite. Plus vite, plus vite.
Et bon, les choses quand même progressivement devenaient très sérieuses, puisque là il s'agissait de trouver un vrai plan. Et les disputes entre Philippe et Jean-Louis ont vraiment commencé.
Oui, mais Marc said, if somebody opened the door in the stairs and see a very serious man, dark, taking big massive, this is no good.
It's not. In the stairway, we can be discovered by anyone.
Dans l'escalier, on peut être découvert par
Now, so we have to be a combination of a workman and an officeman.
I think this is perfect. This is perfect, and this is no good.
Bon, alors d'accord, on passe en bas n'importe comment, peu importe en bas. Où ça va commencer à jouer, c'est à l'étage où on va passer de l'ascenseur au truc.
Voilà.
À ce moment-là, il vaut mieux être habillé à peu près bien.
Ah non, on est ouvrier, j'allais dire.
Laisse-moi finir. Être habillé à peu près bien.
Énorme d'imaginer déjà entrer dans ces tours clandestinement. Ils ne savaient déjà pas quel serait leur plan pour y rentrer. Et je crois que Jean-Louis s'est senti dès le début une immense responsabilité. Il ne voulait rien laisser passer à Philippe, des problèmes de peut-être manque de réalisme de Philippe.
Alors, j'ai pensé partir d'en bas. Là, c'est réellement stupide, puisqu'on a un ascenseur gratis.
Mais non, on est comme des cons.
Jean-Louis savait que j'étais de son côté. Et Philippe savait que bien souvent j'étais du côté de Jean-Louis.
Un objet de 80 kilos, pourquoi ne pas le faire?
Since long before Vary, Annie has been angling for an invitation to New York, using tenderness, blackmail, threats, insults, and tears. But I need absolute detachment, complete freedom. I must be a castaway on the desert island of my dreams.
Philippe and I travelled to New York together, and I remember looking out through this hazy airplane window and seeing in the far distance the Twin Towers. We'd come all of this way, and this was what we're here for.
Metropolis, France's #1 journal of urban planning. We are preparing a feature profile of the workers who are presently constructing the World Trade Center in New York. Our credentialed reporter, Philippe Petit, kindly requests your cooperation for this article.
He told me he was a French journalist, and it was just not normal for me to say, show me your credentials, if you would. He was going to write a story about the World Trade Center for the French newspapers, and he had 2 photographers with him, and I thought that was pretty good publicity.
You completely trust the building yourself.
Is it safe up there?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, like tumbling down, falling down or something?
Yeah.
No, I'd say.
Here was this sort of long-haired Australian and this sort of very volatile Frenchman who couldn't speak great English, saying we were journalists, and we enlisted Jim Moore, and he was the cameraman.
It was interesting because, here we are disguising ourselves as someone who we're not, and perfectly getting away with it, and it was wonderful.
When you were working here and when the weather changed, you stop because you cannot work anymore? I mean,
What do you mean? If we start doing a day up here and all of a sudden the weather gets bad, we have to finish the day.
Ah, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
So it happens in your life to work there on the top with very bad conditions?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And you get a little bit scared of that?
No, not really.
I remember Jim would act like he was taking a photograph of a worker, then at the same time he'd put the camera down and he'd take a photograph of a pylon or an anchor point or something like that.
The towers were not corners facing corners, they were askew, which was a problem for me to decide where to put my wire. So in principle, that's a cable across the 2 roofs. I decided to attach the cable to what I believe were the strongest beam at the top of the roof, and then I'm going to tie the wire to here on the south tower. A cable between 2 buildings of a long length, it sways, it goes up and down, and there is almost an invisible move, which is a torsion on itself. So what we devise, it's called a cavality in the circus parlance. It's actually a guide line that is perpendicular to the axis of the wire, and it goes down to the ground. Even with permission, we couldn't go a quarter of a mile to the ground, plus I needed a pair. Here's 1, and here's 2. We know they cannot go down. So the solution was asymmetric rigging, which is like this. Here's the first attachment. Each cavality had 2 legs, a short one and a long one. So this is what I decided was the best for the situation. And now I am preparing for le coup. We are going to do it.
I arrived Saturday, and the coup is due on Monday. He's more and more ready for the coup, but the coup itself is not ready. And I was very frustrated about that. I knew we had to act quickly, and I knew we had nothing.
Jean-Louis wants to know, so have you done this that I asked you to do, and what is my answer about when the garden? And I don't satisfy him with my answer. So he attacks my non-preparations, when actually I feel that I have prepared immensely.
I think the longer we were there, the longer I was cognizant of the fact that it was a very ambitious pursuit, what we were doing.
Everything.
We just weren't ready.
Sweet, the balancing pole means more sweet, we must have put the screw.
I never doubted Philippe's talent, his prowess on the wire. It was the unforeseen things that really worried me.
If I need the cavalities or not.
You know, America's a very litigious society. You know, involuntary manslaughter, assisted suicide.
A little bit, then put everything down, okay?
I didn't want to be liable for the death of a friend.
When he could clearly see that we are not ready, everybody could see it but Philippe. And at that time, we gave up.
Obviously, with the Australian not there, obviously the whole thing is a total debacle.
And I told him, okay, so Philippe, what do you think now? It's May 30th, we're supposed to do the coup today. Do you think we can do it like that? And they said no. I said, no, it's clear that it's impossible. And I said, no, it's not impossible, it is possible. I mean, we are very close to it. If you want something, nothing is impossible. They keep repeating, I'll be back, we'll prepare it and we'll do it.
La première tentative avait échoué. Et là, il m'a appelé, il fallait que de toute urgence je vienne. Et évidemment, mon rôle était de lui soutenir son moral, de lui redonner du courage. Et voilà, donc c'était toujours essayer de comprendre ce qui se passait dans sa tête, encourager. J'avais ce rôle-là et c'était très fatigant. Il regardait la télévision une partie de la nuit parfois et ne regardait que des séries policières, des attaques de banques, des histoires de gendarmes et de voleurs. Je suis sûre qu'il se mettait en condition avec ça. Il cherchait là une force pour arriver à violer ces tours. Donc on retournait constamment au World Trade Center, dans le grand hall d'entrée, et Philippe observait comment les gens passaient, il présentait des passes, etc. Il observait le plus de choses possible.
I saw him in the lobby, and it was just somebody that didn't belong there, like someone who would come out. It was just a wrong juxtaposition. It just was very, very odd.
Philippe! Oh, it's wonderful to see you. And his name is Barry, and he has seen me street juggling in Paris.
Well, he started talking and telling me all this wire walking that he did. And I think I said at some point, well, if you're thinking of doing the World Trade Center, forget it. But he sort of draws you into his world. And I guess I was the kind of guy who was not averse to doing things that was slightly, you know, not totally legal.
Barry calls me and says, Philippe, sorry to tell you, but the security around the World Trade Center in general has changed, and now we all have forced to carry an ID. But I happen to have mine freshly unsealed from the envelope, and it will not be too much trouble to abandon it in your hands for a few hours.
He did this incredibly artistic, perfect job of copying it and getting an ID card with his own picture on it.
One day he called me and he said, well, I've found 2 or 3 American guys. Crazy, they're great, and they're ready to help.
I meet 2 American young men, Donald and Chester.
We met with Petit, and I had a friend named Alan Wellner, who I went to high school with. He was always up for an adventure, always. I think Petit knew also that this guy was a quality guy.
Certainly smart, certainly aware of himself and knowing his limits, the ideal accomplice.
He was pitching it, he was presenting it, he was desperately sort of proposing it in a way that you would, you know, sell a timeshare or something. I knew he was a nut or a con man or something, but it seemed harmless enough. I didn't really take it seriously at that point.
I need to practice a little bit on the wire, and I need mostly to show my 2, 3 American friends how to hook the cable, how to help Jean-Louis.
That's when I saw him on a cable. I had never seen concentration like that. And I think I never have to this day. And his face became this ageless mask of concentration. I mean, he became like a sphinx. It was amazing.
He did it beautifully and calmly, and he just did it, in fact, literally with his eyes closed. It was just what he does. Everything he told me was true.
J'étais inquiète. L'équipe comprenait des gens qui n'étaient absolument pas fiables.
I don't remember right now when we fixed the date, but we had fixed the date for August 7.
Et Jean-Louis m'a rappelé donc Notre-Dame et il m'a dit que c'était à peu près pareil, que c'était la même aventure, mais que c'était à New York, au World Trade Center. Mais il m'en a pas dit beaucoup plus, il m'a juste demandé si je voulais venir ou pas. Voilà.
Jean-Louis arrives, and I go and pick him up at the airport. He's with Jean-François, and of course I remember Jean-François. It's an adorable little apparition, and he's all smile. He doesn't have any questions. He just will follow. He's here to help.
C'est en débarquant à New York, en sortant du train de Boston, à un moment on est passé devant l'Empire State Building. Et là j'ai levé la tête, j'ai regardé la hauteur de l'Empire State Building, et j'ai été terrorisé. Mes genoux ont tremblé, c'était effrayant, sachant que le World Trade Center était encore plus haut. Donc j'ai tout gardé pour moi, je n'ai rien dit, mais j'étais terrorisé.
When I was a boy, I dreamed of Philippe Marlowe. He took me as his
Quand Jean-Louis est revenu, la tension a monté énormément. C'est devenu insupportable. C'était le problème de l'équipe.
I met the first two guys, and one of them was a musician, the other one I think was a carpenter, I don't know what. And they really looked like losers. I mean, sorry, but like when I saw these guys, I thought, my God.
Loves me.
La dernière soirée avant le coup, ils sont arrivés dans l'appartement dans un état lamentable. L'un d'eux avait fumé, il était complètement ailleurs, perdu dans sa fumée. Jean-Louis était absolument consterné, Philippe aussi.
It's likely I was probably had been smoking pot. Yeah, likely as all hell. I smoked pot every day for 35 years. There's no reason to think I didn't smoke that day.
And when Jean-Louis meets Albert, he has a little intuition. I can read it in Jean-Louis' face. He doesn't trust Albert.
You know, you have this feeling with people, and sometimes it's wrong, but you can't help it anyway.
We shook hands, said hello. They didn't speak English, I spoke no French, so there wasn't too much to say, just nice to meet you, good luck, let's do what we have to do.
When I felt that the whole floor finally was silent and the darkness is there, I venture out. Imagine staying 3 hours on a beam. You cannot walk. You need re-education. A normal human being staying completely unmoving on a beam for 3 hours cannot walk.
After a while, I said, we cannot wait anymore. I told Albert, you know what, you should go, because if I'm caught, there's no way we can do the rigging, because I'm the only one who knows about Philippe's habit and how to do it. So he goes on the top and comes back 5 minutes later.
I'm sure I just said, okay, let's go. Let's just get this done.
So we said, great. We don't know what this noise come from, but let's go.
And now we moved and we go for the most important equipment. I mean, a wire walker needs a cable to walk on. Now we are walking toward a tiny little construction staircase, very narrow. And he's in front and I'm in the back. I see a nightmare, a policeman. And the policeman has his eyes open and he's looking at me.
Et il y avait quelqu'un qu'on n'avait pas prévu, qui était là, justement sur un bureau avec une petite lumière.
I decide to hold him. But hold on, he's pushing me. The same way I am holding him, the same way he's pushing me. What is happening? There's no way I can get Jean-François to turn around. So let's play his game, let's follow. We were very silent because we didn't have shoes on. And when we arrived on the top, I whispered, "Did you see the guard?" He said, "Of course I saw the guard. And I was trying to alert you by pushing you, but why did you resist?" I said, "Well, I was trying to resist to have you turn around and for me to explain without words that there was a guard."
Je me rappelle très bien de l'immensité de New York, de la hauteur, de la petitesse de la Statue de la Liberté, du palais de l'ONU aussi, tout petit. C'était magnifique, des bruits aussi, des bruits de sirènes de police toute la nuit, et c'était magnifique. C'était très vivant, quoi. En fait, c'était très vivant. Et on était les rois.
The most beautiful moment is when I see a shape, actually two silhouettes on the other tower. And I recognize immediately in the darkness, it is the silhouette of Jean-Louis and the silhouette of Albert. They made it.
When I saw them on the roof, I was so happy. And the impression I got, I remember that all the time, it's you go on the roof, it's all dark, and there's this red light for the planes, you know, that's turning, and that's like a metronome, giving you an idea of timing going by.
There was peace and immensity, and I, in the middle of all this madness, I suddenly had hope and joy. So I put, like a bat, actually, I put Jean-François upside down in that little staircase opening, just his head showing. So imagine what the guard must have seen if he were awake. He would have seen a human being head looking at him upside down.
First thing I did, I prepared my bow. Prepare the arrow and prepare the fishing line and wait for them.
So there was a signal for Jean-Louis to say, "I am ready to shoot." And there was a signal for me to say, "I saw your signal, I am ready." And I'm going to count till 10, and then he will shoot. But there were no signal for "I am not ready." I not thought of that. And I was not ready.
Finally, they give this big signal.
"I am ready."
I've been waiting for so long that when he finally gives the signal, instinctively, I took the bow, I aimed at him. And he was almost at the edge of the building.
I go hunting for the arrow. Nothing. Out of frustration, I take all my clothes off, and I think that the line, I will feel the line on my naked skin. With a defeated heart, I climb down to the edge, and I feel a dancing fishing line caressing my thigh. The arrow was actually balancing precariously on the very edge of the building's corner. A little blow, and it was breezy, would have simply make it fall. The first thing we did after a few cordinas, a few little ropes getting bigger and stronger, was to bring a burlap bag. And this bag was carrying the very important item of the communication, the interphone.
A little tinny toy intercom is connected, and we hear Philippe's voice on the other end. And that was an important moment. Now the four of us are together. The work is truly going to begin.
The guard leaves. Jean-François hardly can talk. His head has been upside down for so long. But we go back, we rush, we get our shoes. And now we bring the equipment like mad people. And I put a little trap in the staircase. And that will be like an alarm clock, would be, somebody's getting on your roof.
By that time, everything was perfect. I mean, it was not even midnight with a normal rigging. That means within 3 hours, everything would have been perfect. Now we are ready to pull the wire. Philippe has a wire ready. The nylon rope is in our hand. We are ready.
At some point, I gave probably too much cable.
And all of a sudden, I see the wire going, tremendous noise. I thought, my God, what's going on? We almost lost the wire. So I called Philippe, what's going on? He said, yeah, we could not hold it, which is very unfortunate.
The fact that I didn't speak French, so I couldn't hear the details of what was going wrong, was probably just as well.
So we had to pull probably more than 100 meters of wire plus rope.
I don't remember how much we gained with each attempt. Maybe we worked hard for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and got a tiny bit of this endless cable up there.
Within, I don't know, half an hour, it became almost impossible. Here we are in big trouble.
Somebody is coming on the roof. Jean-François hears also, and he hides immediately. And I see him, he's like a dead animal. As a child, have you ever played hide and seek in a park and take refuge behind a giant tree trunk? And a policeman comes to the roof. And then your companion comes, circle the trunk. He walks, you walk. He stops, you stop. The man starts turning around this obstacle in the center of my tower, and I turn around on the side diametrically opposed. This little pas de deux could go on forever until one of you turn around and bump into each other. Well, this is exactly what happened. He turns, I turn. He stops, I stops. He go on, I go on. Now, of course, if he would have turned around, oops, hide and seek.
Albert was starting to give up, to argue, to say, no, I don't want to do this anymore, it's not possible, we're not going to do it.
It was clear we weren't going to get this job done. But there was no arguing with him. There was just, it was useless. He was just going to go ahead regardless. It's impossible that he thought we were going to be able to rig this before daylight.
Imagine being after these months of preparation, these months of all that, and finally being on the roof, and having to stop because the wire is like that. I mean,
at dawn, I assumed, well, the jig is up. We did the best, and now, let's get out of here.
Les rues étaient désertes et j'ai trouvé un taxi qui a bien voulu m'emmener là-bas. Donc l'attente s'est faite avec eux. D'autres personnes nous ont retrouvés, d'autres personnes de l'équipe. Et on était les yeux absolument fixés sur les tours. J'essayais de guetter le moindre mouvement, mais on ne voyait rien. C'était absolument effrayant.
It was a misty day, and I thought, that sucks. And it wasn't windless either. There was a little bit of air that morning.
And you could see when the cable was up there, and it looked very, very slack.
I pulled like crazy. Finally, I got the wire. For some reason, the last meter was the one that came the easiest.
Despite the abandon of his co-accomplice, Jean-Louis has his last communication almost was, Philippe, I did it. I've got 2 clamps. We did it. The cable is anchored.
All of a sudden, we see this black spot coming down off the top of the towers, and we didn't know what the hell it was. It was like, oh my God, what is that, you know?
On a vu quelque chose, une forme, une seconde qui est tombée de là-haut.
I saw this thing falling down, and I couldn't believe it. And I said to myself, if that's it, you've been fooling yourself this whole time. He went straight down with the first step off the roof. He might be dead.
Alors on a poussé un grand cri de soulagement, c'était simplement un vêtement. On s'est dit, bon, il a laissé tomber quelque chose, c'est pas grave.
On the top of Philippe's roof, there was the big wheel of the machines. So as soon as the elevator would move, we would see the wheel starting to turn.
I scream, La roue, to Jean-François, the wheel, because I see the giant wheel starting in motion. And I know my fate has been written now. Time is no longer smiling at me.
At that time, I was very worried. I think the first time I was really scared. Oh my God, he's exhausted like I am. Maybe not as much, but for what he has to do, it's really not a good thing. The wire is the worst wire we ever did, and I was really scared.
On pensait tous que, évidemment, il est possible qu'il tombe. Hein. On y a tous pensé, mais on n'y croyait pas. On y pensait, mais on n'y croyait pas.
And I had to make a decision of shifting my weight from one foot anchored to the building to the foot anchored on the wire. This is probably, I don't know, probably the end of my life to step on that wire. And on the other hand, something that I could not resist, and I didn't make any effort to resist, called me upon that cable. And death is very close. I start walking as a wire walker who is studying his cable. And instead of doing an entire study of the cable for the whole lens, seeing the first cavity and keep walking, seeing the middle, which is so soft and treacherous, seeing the second cavity, how it is, no, I do only go to the first cavity and I know enough. Now I'm going to perform.
saw his face changing. He was very tense, and all of a sudden there was something like a relief in him. And from that time I thought, that's it. He's secure, it's good. And wow, that's...
J'ai vu Philippe. J'ai vu Philippe là, oui, c'était extraordinaire. C'était tellement, tellement beau. C'était comme s'il marchait sur un nuage. Et il y a eu des moments extraordinaires. Il s'est couché. Et ça, c'était l'extase de voir cette image de Philippe couché là-haut. Et puis l'autre moment très très fort, c'est quand il vous est très... C'était tellement beau. Et quand il s'est agenouillé, il y a un moment où il s'est agenouillé et il a salué. Et donc je criais, regardez, regardez, et les gens ont commencé à se rassembler, mais personne ne voyait. Et ils me disaient, mais qu'est-ce que vous voyez? Et je leur disais, mais un funambule, regardez, un funambule, il marche, il marche.
I sit down on the wire in one of my crossing, and I did something that amazed people. I actually look all the way down to look at something that I will never in my life see again. So I can tell you, and yes, probably it's a lie, but to me it's not. I heard the crowd, I saw the crowd, I hear them murmur.
Beyond anything you could ever imagine. It's just mind-boggling. The awe of the event and the overwhelming largeness of the scale of the situation took my mind into a place where I really wasn't that concerned about him. It was magical. It was just profound.
Officer Myers and I observed the tightrope dancer, because you couldn't call him a walker, approximately halfway between the two towers. And upon seeing us, he started to smile and laugh.
They don't know how to react to a daydreaming wire walker laying down and dialoguing with a seagull, so they were really mad.
Philippe a fait des provocations, bien sûr, puisque c'est son travail, hein, c'est son caractère en plus. C'est-à-dire qu'il se rapprochait et les gardiens voulaient le saisir, ou les policiers, je me souviens plus si c'était policier. Et là, à ce moment-là, il faisait demi-tour, donc devenait inaccessible, puisque les gardiens n'allaient pas monter sur le câble.
When he got to the building, we asked him to get off the high wire, but instead he turned around and ran back out into the middle. Everybody was spellbound in the watching of it. When we observed to the fact that he wasn't about to come in because he seemed to be enjoying it so much, we mentioned the fact to his associate that if he did not come in, we would have a helicopter pluck him up off of the wire. At which time his associate spoke to him in French, being that he's a Frenchman.
Philippe! You know? And he said, the police are going to dislodge you and you should stop. And I was madly enraged by that, but also it saved my life.
There is somebody out there in a tightrope walk between the two towers of the World Trade Center, right at the tippy top.
I personally figured I was watching something that somebody else would never see again in the world. Thought it was once in a lifetime.
No reason to stare at wire anymore, and also I felt humidity in the air and the wind growing. friends later told me, you spent 45 minutes. They said, you know, you did 8 crossings. They grabbed me and they grounded me, handcuffed, actually hands in the back. I was thrown down the staircase, the most dangerous part of this whole adventure. I almost break my head on the narrow staircase that lead to the elevator.
Well, we got it from the Port Authority that it took about 3 days to rig it up. I'd say it's about $1,000 worth of cable, and the rigging outfit itself, it's magnificent the way he did it.
Did he say anything about why he was doing it? No.
Why did you do it?
I will explain. I will take the time to say.
You know, why? And that was a very, again, in my way of seeing America, a very American finger-snapping question. I did something magnificent and mysterious, and I got a practical why. And the beauty of it is that I didn't have any why.
Why did you do this?
That's the thousand why in this morning. There is no why.
I was then taken for a psychiatric examination by a psychiatrist.
C'était une sorte de grande paillasse scientifique où les fous circulaient autour. Et c'est toujours pareil, c'est qu'on est au milieu de vrais fous quand même. Et nous, on n'est pas fous, on est des vedettes. Alors,
I keep asking for water because I was so dehydrated. And he said, when was the last time you drank? And I say, are you crazy? You're mad. I mean, do you know what I did? I danced at the top of the world. I am in the front page of all the world. The 300 journalists are waiting to talk to me. And you're asking me when was the last time I drank? You're completely mad. So he wrote, you know, the guy is completely normal and he's just very thirsty.
Police took a humorless view of the act. They took Pettit and a companion into custody and finally decided to charge them with trespassing and disorderly conduct.
The district attorney offered me a deal, and he said, Philippe, if you agree to do a little show, but you know, like juggling 3 oranges in front of 4 kids, but on camera, the New York news and all that, then we'll drop all the charges. So I said, sure. And now I climbed down the steps of the Palais de Justice. I saw in the crowd an admirer. She was smiling beautifully and she came to me and she put her hands on my neck in a loving way and she amorously said, Philippe, I would like to be the first person to welcome you and to, you know, to celebrate with you and I can follow you anywhere. So yes, it did end up on a waterbed in a loft somewhere. But here I went for a very short little moment of I don't know, of pleasure of the flesh. How disgusting. But I am sorry, how beautiful too. I mean, my friends were waiting for me. Annie, my girlfriend, there was a betrayal of my friends. And I remember I called and said, you know, I have many interviews to do, so I'll see you soon. This magnificent explosion of pleasure, let's say it, and then I went back, frightened to death, you know, to my friends, thinking I'm really a guilty guy.
Et j'ai vu Philippe découvrir ce que c'est que la popularité, être reconnu en plus avec des signes d'amitié, avec des signes d'enthousiasme. Les gens traversaient la rue pour lui dire « Oh, quel cadeau vous nous avez fait, c'était tellement beau, c'était une bouffée d'air, merci ». C'était extraordinaire et je pense que dans la tête de Philippe, beaucoup de choses changeaient.
I am a celebrity in New York. People say, are you the guy who walked between Twin Towers? I say, yeah, it's me. This is incredible. And then some people say, are you the guy who? I say, yeah. And then people say, are you the guy? I say, yeah, it's me.
Alors, la sentence du juge a quand même été, j'ai trouvé assez sévère, c'est que j'ai été expulsé des États-Unis. J'étais condamné à être expulsé.
We talked about it in the plane, and Jean-François was, he's so happy. He said, well, I'm ready for the next time. And I said, no, there will not be any more story like that. There was something broken, probably, in this friendship. It doesn't matter, because, well, basically because we did it. And basically, I mean, you cannot take away what happened. And yeah, what happened is that
there was a love story. Mais il était évident que pour Philippe, une étape incroyable avait été franchie dans sa vie. Et il commençait quelque chose d'autre, une autre vie. Et étrangement, moi aussi. Notre aventure devait se terminer là. Et c'était beau comme ça.
To me, it's really so simple that life should be lived on the edge of life. You have to exercise rebellion. To refuse to taper yourself to rules, to refuse your own success, to refuse to repeat yourself, to see every day, every year, every idea as a true challenge, and then you are going to live your life on a tightrope.